Welcome back to Real Life Wednesdays, where we talk about subjects where real life and faith intersect. Today we're going to talk about a time that I got stuck on the railroad tracks. To say I was stuck on the railroad tracks was a little bit of an exaggeration. We were actually stuck right before the railroad tracks came, and it's one of those days where there's this big lightning storm. And the lightning hit the post and the tracks, the gates, and the gates were down. And there was no one coming. There was no train coming. And my wife and I, the kids were in the car, and the kids were young. They were ready to go home. And the last thing standing between us and home were these railroad tracks, were these gates that were down. Well, we waited for about 4 or 5 minutes, and nothing happened. We knew this was a railroad track that only went by certain hours. I was pretty sure nothing was happening. So I went around the railroad gate. And I shouldn't have done it, but I went around the railroad gate and I looked both ways. I got out of my car to make sure that there's no train coming, and I drove across the railroad tracks. And as soon as I got over the railroad tracks, I see these blue flashing lights in my rearview mirror. I dodged the train, but I did not avoid the police pulling me over. I was just thinking, oh my goodness, please let it be a police officer I know. Please let it be a police officer I know. They pulled me over. It wasn't. And I explained to the officer, I said, look, it was struck by lightning. I was safe. I did the right thing. I got out of my car. I looked both ways, and I went around before then, so I was perfectly safe. I wasn't risking my family or anything wrong there. He said, look at the example you set. He made me get out of my car, and after I got out of the car and looked both ways to cross, and then drove across, everyone else wasn't looking both ways. They were just going around the railroad gate and just driving through. I set a bad example. Paul says in 1 Corinthians that sometimes that what we do, it might be right, but it's the wrong thing to do if it's the wrong example we're setting. Sometimes we put other people at risk by our example, even though we may not do anything wrong in itself. Sometimes it can set the wrong example. When we do that, we put others at risk. Not just risk for their livelihoods, but risk for their souls. So may we be a people that follow God faithfully and do the right thing, even when no one's looking, even when everyone's looking. Amen, amen.